Hi, y'all. Welcome back to Law School Gems with Bria. My name is Bria Riley, and I'm the founder of Law School Gems. I am also a practicing attorney here in Dallas, Texas, working as in-house counsel for a publicly traded company and their marketing and advertising legal group. I am so glad to be here with you today. Today, we are going to be picking up where we left off on in the last video, where we discussed before the exam tips and strategies. But today, we are going to be discussing what you do during the exam in order to better help you be successful on exam day. Before we dive in though, I just wanted to affirm you. Thank you so much for being here. Like I said, you could have been anywhere in the world, but you chose to be here. Understand that I know there's probably a lot of information coming at you right now, and it's going to be okay. You got to take each day one step at a time and just realize what is in your power to control and what is not, right? And lean into what is and what is not. Know how to recognize the difference between the two, and know that you have everything within you to resolve whatever challenges you may be facing or confronting right now. I believe in you. I want you to believe in yourself, and let's get it.
We are born to win. Come and learn the basics with Law School Gems.
All right, so it is exam day. Let's fast forward to your midterm or your final exam. You are sitting in that exam-like room with an exam proctor. You were likely in person, at least that's how it was for me, my first semester of law school. And you start getting ready to take that law school exam, right? And so you peel open the exam prompt, and as soon as you tear into it, you have your laptop up. You're about to start typing away at your answers, like I know that you will, because you already know all of them and you're going to have them ready to go, right? However, if you are an exam taker on your laptop or computer, let's just say your computer crashes or some technical glitch happens while you were at the exam on exam day, and it throws you off, right? You raise your hand, you wait for your proctor to come over, and usually there's an IT representative that is standing by as well. And you wait for them to come over, and then when they do, you tell them the problem, and then you immediately switch to a blue book or to a notebook, and they'll likely provide you with one, because you don't want to waste precious time during the exam focusing on how to get your computer or your laptop back up and going. And I'm not saying this to scare you. I'm saying this to prepare you, because I've seen it happen countless times. Without fail, Newton's law, or is that Murphy's law? Something will happen. What will go wrong or what can go wrong will go wrong. And usually it's going to happen on the exam day when you're already under enough pressure and stress. So just start where you left off, finish writing your exam, and the exam software that you are taking your exam in, if you're on your laptop or your computer, will automatically be saving every second during the exam for the answers you've already put down on your laptop or your computer. So the representatives for that exam software will be able to pull those answers, and then your professor will take those answers combined with your written portions where you pick back up where you left off, and they will begin to grade your exam accordingly, right? But that can't happen if you don't finish where you started as you're writing it, as opposed to finishing on your computer, if that's just not an option. But again, if that happens, don't overreact. Don't let it get the best of you. Don't let it throw you off your game. Just continue to keep going. Raise your hand, have an IT rep or someone like the exam proctor try to figure out what's going on with your computer or the exam software, which will shut down all other applications on your computer as well. So that's going to happen anyway, right? They'll be working through that, and you keep going and get right back to your exam. Now, let's say you are still in that same exam. You've made it through that one snafu, and you are back up and running on your computer. Now you've bought yourself a little bit of time, because you're whipping through those answers. You know exactly what you want to put down. You know exactly what you want to say and what issues you're confronting. And then you're like, you know what? I need to go use the restroom. You can hide your exam using the hide exam button as a part of the exam software that's on your laptop, if that's available to you. And you can do that when you step away, so that way you can make sure no one else are reviewing your answers while you were out at the restroom, because everyone's going to want to jock you. Everyone is going to want to know what you're putting on your paper, because I know you're going to be brilliant. So that is an option available to you as well if you have to step away from your laptop. Now, for all of my handwriters out there who are going to be handwriting their exams, if you need to take a step away or a break or a restroom break during your exam, remember that you can also close your blue book, You can close your notebook in which you're writing your exam. You can set that aside. You can go and turn it into your exam proctor to hold for safekeeping, to make sure that no one is taking a peek at your answer choices while you are away. And oftentimes your exam proctors will also take them from you, especially if you are a hand writer and you have to step out of the exam room for a brief period of time. Now, most exam instructions, when you open them up, read the instructions, because what if the instruction said, write down the letter or the number 1 and you can close this exam booklet and you don't have to take this exam, you're going to get 100. You will have went through the whole thing because you didn't read the exam instructions. So rule number 1 of lawyering, read the agreement, right? Read the exam instructions, and you want to make sure that you are following them. So for most exams, once you're in the exam-like conditions or the exam room where it's going to be proctored, if you have to step away or step out, you have to notify the exam proctor so they can make sure they write down that information, they get your name, they check your student ID, and they are keeping track of everyone who's coming in and out of that room in case there are any exam violations or any cheaters or whatever the case may be. So you want to make sure that you're paying attention to those exam instructions, that you are following them, and that you are not violating them, right? You want to make sure that you are being compliant with the exam instructions, because the slightest stray from those exam instructions could cost you a lot of time. It could also cost you the ability to finish the exam, and you don't want that because you're brilliant and you're going to crush the exam. So you want to be able to show your professor and get to the point where they're actually grading it. That won't happen if you violate these exam instructions. Now, what I need you to do, especially if you are about to take your midterm or your final exam, make sure you are breathing. Make sure that you are breathing, y'all. Check in with your breath, check in and make sure that you are keeping track of that and that you are calming your body. When you are paying attention to your breath, studies show that it helps relieve anxiety, it helps relieve stress, and it makes you focus. It makes you become more clear and less foggy and less hazy. So make sure that you are paying attention to your breaths as well and taking that into account, especially if you begin to get flustered during the exams. And don't forget to take those breaks, right? Especially during your exam. If you can afford to take a break because you have some time, do so. Step away, refresh your legs, right? Get the blood circulating again, splash some cold water on your face, whatever you need to do to get back in the game, especially if you feel like you're fading or you're waning and your energy levels are dropping and it's difficult to get through that last little bit of that exam because you've been going for hours on end. Make sure that you take that time to kind of briefly step away for 3 to 5 minutes. It makes a really big difference. And trust me, in the grand scheme of things, it's not going to affect the outcome of your exam or the time that you have in which to take it. Finally, on exam day, make sure that you are not doing anything that may make it appear as though you are cheating, right? There's going to be an exam proctor there for in-person exams, especially. At least that's how it was for me in my first semester of law school, whether it be a midterm or a final exam. And what does that mean, right? So that means eyes face forward. They're looking only at your exam prompt or your laptop or your blue book or your notebook. No wandering eyes, no talking to your neighbor, even if it's for an indiscriminate question, right? Like something that you didn't have any negative intent or ill will behind it. You weren't trying to cheat or get over on anyone or do anything. That can be interpreted poorly by the proctor because all they see is you talking to your neighbor. So you don't want to do that. Once that exam begins and time has been called, you need to make sure that you are not talking and that you don't have any wandering eyes. You also need to make sure that your mobile devices are turned off and that they are safely put away somewhere where they cannot be accessed. You don't want anyone saying that you had access to a mobile device and that you could have accessed it during the actual exam. If you have any questions specifically related to the exam or technical issues or whatever, raise your hand or go to the proctor and tell them what's going on. But talk to them or talk to the people who are in the room that are there to help you, but do not talk to your neighbors and do not talk to any students. Make sure that you are also not logging into other web browsers. I'm pretty sure once you launch the exam software on your computer, especially if you're going to be typing your exam, that it shuts down all applications automatically and you won't have an opportunity to access anything else. Otherwise, you'll have to get out of the exam software and that could mess up your actual exam or your responses, and that could affect your grade, right? So usually that's the case, but in the rare predicament that it's not, do not go to any other web browsers, my God, while you are on that laptop. Don't do that, especially if you are typing your exam. Also, do not bring any other outside materials or any materials that are prohibited from you bringing them into the exam room or where the exam will be proctored, etc. And I almost forgot, once you are ready to submit your exam, especially if you are not handwriting it. If you're handwriting it, you're just going to close your blue book. You're going to walk up to the proctor. You're going to hand it to the proctor. They're going to make a note of it. They're going to check you out. They're going to look at your student ID and make sure that the person they checked in is the person who's checking out and that there was no foul play, right? And then they're going to allow you to leave. Once you leave, you cannot come back into that exam room. So make sure that you have done and completed your exam and did everything you wanted to do before you leave, because you won't be allowed back in, because they can't risk that you haven't looked at something while you were outside the exam room. But for those who are typing their exam, once you get to the end of it, you will have an opportunity to submit your exam. And you'll be prompted by the exam software a couple of times like, hey, do you really want to submit this? Hey, are you sure you want to submit this? And it's kind of like doubly confirming, because once you close out of that exam software, there's no way to get back into it. And what you have in the exam software that's been recorded is what's going to be graded by the professor or by an automated machine if it's multiple choice, right? So you want to make sure that once you click confirm and that you are ready to submit that exam, that is exactly what you wanted it to be, and that a big screen, a green screen appears, at least that's how it would for us, saying congratulations, you've submitted your exam. You may close your laptop, you may go and exit the exam room, but until you see something like that, don't just close your laptop, right? And if you're unsure, raise your hand, talk to a proctor or talk to an IT representative that's going to be in the exam room with you. Well, guys, that's all I got, and I hope that you found these tips and strategies helpful, especially for game day while you are actually in the exam, on your midterm or on your final exam. I hope you found this helpful. Feel free to like or share this video with someone who may find it beneficial or interesting, someone who is in their first semester of law school, or someone who is approaching it or considering law school, or even those who may be further along in their legal or law school journey, right, and could just use a tune-up. Make sure you subscribe to the channel because it really helps me to grow it and reach larger audiences like you. And thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. I really appreciate that as well. And drop in the comments how you are going to crush exam day, how you were preparing for your exams, and what that journey has been like for you. I cannot wait to hear from you guys. And until I see you guys again, bye y'all.